Chapter 1. Eternal Rivals. There was a saying in the kingdom. When Aether Valen descended from the heavens, even darkness bowed. To most, it was gospel. To Kael Rivenhart, it was a joke. They had clashed 32 times before. 32 battles that left cities trembling and legends carved into stone. And every time Kael had walked away alive, scarred perhaps, but unbroken. That's what made him the most feared alpha villain in the realm. What no one knew was that every time the golden hero saved him. The sky split apart as Aether descended in a storm of golden light, cape whipping like a divine banner. Soldiers behind Kael gasped in reverence, some even kneeling as if a god had arrived to deliver judgment. Kael casually wiped the blood from his blade and smirked. Finally, took you long enough, pretty boy. Aether stepped forward, boots sinking into dirt as golden aura pulsed outward, making the ground quake. Kael, he said, voice low and dangerous, you're cornered this time. Kael tilted his head, chaos fire coiling around his frame like restless serpents. You've said that 20 times already. Should we make it 21 and call it a date? Aether's jaw tensed, golden eyes narrowing. To the crowd, he looked every bit the holy savior, but Kael, standing mere feet away, caught it. The faint flicker of hunger beneath the hero's righteous facade. When they clashed, it was apocalyptic. Light slammed into chaos, golden shields against roaring elemental fire. Every strike looked like it could end a life, every explosion like the wrath of gods. But beneath the spectacle, Kael felt Aether's strikes were deliberate, calculated, restrained. Kael swung viciously, Aether's blade always deflected without cutting deep. Kael hurled a blast of chaos energy. Aether redirected it away from Kael's vital points. And when their hands met mid-parry, Aether's grip lingered just a second too long. You're holding back, Kael spat between blows, sweat trickling down his face. Aether's gaze flickered, but he didn't deny it. Instead, with a voice low enough for only Kael to hear, he murmured, I always hold back for you. Kael's chest tightened with a storm of emotions he refused to name. Why? He demanded. What do you want from me, hero? Aether's light flared, and for a brief moment shadow licked around his feet, an unholy blend of darkness beneath divine glow that no one else ever noticed. The battle raged on, both circling each other like predators in a deadly dance. From the outside, it looked like a noble hero barely containing a monstrous villain. But Kael could feel it in every strike, every clash. This wasn't about justice. It was personal. With a roar, Kael lunged, chaos fire spiraling up his sword. Aether met him mid-air, blades crossing with a shriek of metal. They locked there, faces inches apart, breathing hard. Kael could see every golden fleck in Aether's irises, the faint sheen of sweat, and, most damningly, the hitch in his breath. Not from battle. From him. What's your game, Aether? Kael hissed. Why not finish this? Why not kill me? Aether's lips curved, not into a heroic smile, but something smaller, softer, utterly out of place in the chaos. Because if you're gone, he whispered, I'd have no reason to fight at all. The words struck harder than any blade. Kael's powers faltered for just a split second. In that moment, Aether's shadows flickered across Kael's ankle, not binding, not hurting, just touching, like a forbidden caress. Kael blasted chaos energy to force distance between them, masking the shiver crawling down his spine. Next time, hero, Kael growled, retreating into a swirl of smoke. I won't be so merciful. As Kael disappeared into darkness, Aether didn't chase. He never did. He only stood there, golden aura dimming, and whispered to the empty battlefield, You're already mine, Kael. You just don't know it yet. Chapter 2. The Truth Cracks. Kael's fortress was supposed to be indestructible. Stone forged from volcanic rock, enchanted with wards strong enough to withstand armies. But all it took was one battle with him, the Golden Hero, and Kael's sanctuary was reduced to rubble. Chaos flames licked the collapsing halls as Kael stumbled, blood dripping down his temple. His sword was cracked, his powers flickering, his body screaming for rest. For the first time in years, Kael was cornered. Aether emerged from the smoke, a radiant figure framed by light, boots silent as death. Kael bared his teeth, staggering to his feet, chaos energy sputtering around him. "Come to finish me off, hero?" he sneered, voice hoarse but defiant. The ground beneath them cracked. The ceiling threatened to collapse. Aether didn't answer. Instead, dark shadows erupted from his hands, not to strike but to shield. The entire lair shimmered with protective magic as boulders froze midair, rerouted harmlessly to the side. Kael blinked, swaying. "What the hell are you doing?" Aether's jaw tightened. Golden light wrapped around him like a halo, but his shadows, wild, untamed, coiled protectively around Kael's frame. "I'm saving you," Aether said simply. Kael wanted to laugh, wanted to shove him away, wanted to hate him. But before he could move, the world went black. Soft hero, dark obsession. Kael woke hours later in a soft, unfamiliar bed, the smell of sandalwood and faint gold magic clinging to the sheets. For one blissful second, he thought maybe he'd escaped. Then he realized his neck hurt. Reaching up, Kael's fingers brushed over raised skin, a bite mark, faint but unmistakable, glowing softly with foreign enigma magic. "What the f—" The door creaked. Aether entered, not in shining armor this time, but in simple linen, his golden hair mussed, a smear of soot on his cheek. He looked nothing like a divine hero now, just a man who'd been frantic, desperate, for him. "You should stay in bed," Aether said softly, pulling up a chair beside him. Kael glared. "Did you bite me?" Aether's golden eyes softened. He didn't deny it. "I temporarily marked you." "Marked me," Kael snapped. "I'm an alpha. You can't, this is—" "Forbidden," Aether finished for him, his voice maddeningly calm. "I know, but I couldn't risk anyone else trying to claim you, not when you're mine." Kael's fury, Aether's softness. Kael tried to push himself up, ignoring the dizziness. "I am not yours, hero." Aether's hand gently pressed to his chest, guiding him back down. His touch wasn't forceful. It was careful, reverent. "You've been mine for a long time," Aether murmured, brushing damp hair from Kael's forehead. "You just don't remember yet." Kael's stomach flipped. This man, the kingdom's shining savior, was looking at him like he hung the moon, like he was fragile glass Aether was terrified to break. And Kael hated how it made his throat tighten. A dream? Kael drifted in and out of sleep, feverish. Once he woke to find Aether sitting silently by the bed, head bowed against Kael's hand, as though guarding him from nightmares. Another time, he felt Aether's magic weave through his own, knitting wounds closed with painstaking care. And once, just once, Kael swore he felt lips brush his marked neck, a quiet whisper of, "Mine, always." When Kael finally awoke fully, the room was empty. His wounds were nearly healed. The mark on his neck had faded to almost nothing, barely visible. "Must have been a fever dream," Kael muttered, dragging himself out of bed. By the time he returned to his ruined fortress, rumors already spread. The hero had spared the villain once again, claiming Kael fled like a coward. Kael smirked bitterly. Figures. He didn't notice Aether watching from a distant cliff, shadows curling around his gloved hands as he whispered to himself, "You can think it was a dream if it makes you feel safe, but your soul already knows the truth." Chapter 3. Obsession Unmasked. The people called it the final battle. The battle which brought peace for all of them, the one where the golden hero would finally destroy the ruthless villain Kael Rivenhart and bring peace to the realm. But Kael had stopped believing in final battles long ago. Because every time Aether Valen faced him, Kael walked away. Not arrested, not dead, just spared. And now Kael was starting to notice things. Strange patterns. During skirmishes, other heroes mysteriously never reached him. Somehow Aether was always the first and only one on the battlefield with Kael. And when they fought, Aether whispered his name under his breath, not like a warrior barking a command, but like a lover sighing a secret. Even stranger, Kael realized he hadn't killed a single soldier in months. Not because he'd gone soft, but because Aether always intercepted first, making it look like Kael had simply fled or failed. The kingdom thought Aether was barely containing the chaos. Kael knew better. He was protecting him. The breaking point. When Aether arrived this time, golden magic flaring against the stormy sky, Kael was already smirking, his chaos fire curling lazily around his fingers. "Let me guess," Kael drawled, voice dripping with sarcasm. "This is the part where you tell me I'm cornered. You glare with those holy golden eyes, and we fight for hours just so you can accidentally let me escape." Aether's jaw tightened, his sword shimmering with light. "Kael!" "What?" Kael barked, throwing up his arms. "Why don't you just finish it? Arrest me. Kill me. Whatever it is heroes do when they finally beat the bad guy." Aether's light flared dangerously bright, and then darkness leaked through it, curling like smoke staining the ground. "No," Aether said, voice shaking for the first time. "No one touches you. No one hurts you. Not even me." Kael blinked. The hell? Loss of control. Before Kael could react, Aether moved, faster than ever before. Shadows swirled, golden magic surged, and suddenly Kael was slammed against a shattered stone pillar, wrists pinned by glowing chains of shadow light. Aether stood before him, breathing hard, golden hair falling over his glowing eyes. "I've loved you," Aether admitted, voice raw. "For years. Every battle, every clash, it was never about stopping you. I staged it all just to see you, just to make sure no one else could touch you." Kael stared, stunned, a bitter laugh escaping. "You've been what? In love with me? I'm 30, a warlord twice damned. What kind of twisted hero?" "The kind who would burn the world," Aether interrupted, stepping closer, "just to keep you safe." Kael's breath caught. His instincts screamed to fight, but his body froze under Aether's power. And then, he remembered, the bite mark. The shadow-wrapped night in a soft bed. The whispered word, "Mine." It wasn't a dream. At Aether's mansion. Kael woke hours later, body aching from a fight that hadn't ended the way battles usually did. He wasn't chained in a dungeon or bleeding out in a ruin. He was lying in an opulent bed inside Aether's sprawling mansion, warm sheets cocooning him, sunlight spilling through tall windows. And Aether was sitting at the edge of the bed, golden eyes soft, fingers brushing Kael's hair back like he was fragile glass. Kael snarled, trying to push up. "You kidnapped me." Aether didn't flinch. "I brought you home." "Home," Kael snapped. "This is your mansion, hero." "It's ours now," Aether said simply, leaning in until their foreheads touched. It always should have been. The bond. Kael wanted to punch him, to scream, to claw his way out. Instead, his body betrayed him. Heat coiled low, instincts warring with logic as Aether's scent overwhelmed him. And then Aether whispered, voice a low, desperate growl. "Hate me all you want. You're mine now." Before Kael could spit another insult, Aether's enigma nature surged through the bond. He permanently marked Kael with a bite glowing faintly against his neck, an impossible act for an alpha to receive, yet undeniable as bond magic wrapped around them like molten gold. Kael trembled, fury and confusion twisting into something darker. Aether held him through it all, whispering over and over, "You were always mine, always." Chapter 4. Hero's Possession. The realm rejoiced. Banners of gold and ivory draped every tower. Bells tolled through the capital as citizens cheered, tossing petals into the streets. The news had spread like wildfire. Aether Valen, the realm's greatest hero, had finally subdued the villain Kael Rivenhart, ending years of chaos and war. The official story claimed that Aether had risked his life to redeem the warlord instead of destroying him, binding Kael's power with a holy union. To the outside world, it was a miracle. To Kael, it was a gilded prison. Public adoration. From the balcony of Aether's sprawling mansion-turned-royal estate, Kael stood stiff as a statue, dressed in finely tailored silks that felt like chains. The crowd below erupted in cheers, chanting Aether's name like a prayer. Beside him, Aether smiled warmly, waving at his people. Golden light haloed his hair, making him look every inch the savior. And yet, his hand never left Kael's lower back, protective and possessive, thumb brushing slow circles that made Kael's pulse spike with both fury and something he refused to name. "Don't you dare enjoy this," Kael muttered through clenched teeth. Aether leaned down slightly, his lips brushing Kael's ear, voice low and maddeningly soft. "I only enjoy it because you're here with me." Kael's scowl deepened. "You kidnapped me." "I saved you," Aether corrected gently, golden eyes glimmering. "From yourself. From everyone who ever wanted to hurt you. You're safe now. With me." The hero's apology. Later, away from the cheering crowds, Aether closed the ornate doors of their shared chambers and finally faced him fully. Kael crossed his arms, every muscle tense. "You ruined my life, hero. Marked me, bonded me, took my freedom. Tell me how I'm supposed to forgive that." For once, Aether's confident demeanor cracked. Shadows coiled faintly at his feet, a rare sign of inner turmoil. "I didn't want to hurt you," Aether said softly, stepping closer, voice shaking. "I only wanted you safe. Mine. I thought if I marked you, no one could ever take you from me. But I should have asked. I should have given you a choice." Kael opened his mouth to unleash another furious retort, but the sight of Aether, the untouchable golden hero, standing there with trembling hands and grief in his eyes, it stole the words from his tongue. Kael looked away, muttering, "Doesn't change anything." Aether's hand twitched at his side, like he wanted to touch him but restrained himself. "I'll wait," he whispered, "even if it takes my whole life. I'll wait for you to forgive me." A luxury marriage. The union was celebrated with grandeur, unlike anything the kingdom had seen. Silken banners, crystal chandeliers, feasts that lasted days. Nobles and commoners alike toasted to their love story, a hero who redeemed his enemy, a villain turned beloved consort. Kael played his part, standing beside Aether during the ceremony, a scowl plastered on his face that the crowd mistook for stoic dignity. When the vows were spoken, Aether's voice trembled slightly, his golden eyes locked only on Kael as he promised, "I will protect you, cherish you, and love you until the stars fall from the sky, even if you never love me back." The crowd erupted in cheers. Kael, biting his lip to keep from lashing out, only muttered under his breath, "You're insane." Aether's hand squeezed his gently. "Only for you." Soft devotion. Days turned into weeks. Despite Kael's fury, Aether never once lashed out or tried to force affection. Instead, he doted, personally overseeing Kael's meals to ensure they were exactly to his liking, rebuilding Kael's destroyed lair into a serene retreat gifted only to him, staying awake through the night whenever Kael had nightmares, silently holding his hand until morning. Even when Kael pushed him away, Aether only smiled softly, like Kael's anger was a storm he'd gladly weather forever. One night, Kael snapped during dinner, slamming his cup down. "Stop treating me like some precious jewel you stole, hero?" Aether set down his fork calmly, gaze unwavering. "I don't treat you like something I stole, because you were never stolen." Kael blinked. "You've always been mine," Aether said gently. "I'm just, finally, allowed to show it." A reluctant softness. It infuriated Kael how easily Aether could break through his walls. Aether's warmth, his relentless care, his maddening obsession, it chipped away at Kael's fury bit by bit. One evening, as they stood on the balcony overlooking the starlit city, Kael glanced at Aether, really looked at him. The world's greatest hero, smiling softly at the night sky, shadows curling faintly at his feet like they only behaved for him. And for the first time, Kael's heart stuttered. "Still waiting for that forgiveness?" Kael muttered gruffly. Aether turned, golden eyes glowing tenderly. For as long as it takes. Kael scoffed, but when Aether's hand brushed his, he didn't pull away this time. Chapter 5. Unexpected Heir. 10 months into their strange, inescapable marriage, Kael had to admit life was calmer. The wars that once tore across the realm had ceased. No more battlefields drenched in blood. No more clashing powers shaking the skies. But peace didn't mean freedom, because every month, like clockwork, Kael's alpha rut returned. Only this time, because of the permanent enigma mark Aether left on him, his body needed his husband. Every single month. Kael would snarl and curse, calling Aether a lunatic hero who'd ruined his biology. Aether would just smile softly, gather him up in his strong arms and murmur, "It's not ruined. It's just bound to me, where it belongs." And somewhere in that relentless, heated bond, Kael became pregnant. Another chain. Kael nearly burned the entire royal physician's wing down when he heard the news. "Pregnant?" he roared, chaos energy rattling the chandeliers. "I'm an alpha. Alphas don't get pregnant." The trembling healer stammered. "Normally, no. But the enigma bond changes physiology. Your body is receptive now." Kael spun to glare at Aether, who stood nearby, silent but glowing with quiet hope. "Did you do this on purpose?" Aether stepped forward, carefully, like Kael was a cornered beast. "No," he said softly. "I just wanted all of you. Always, but this—" His golden eyes softened, flickering with shadows. "This is a miracle I never thought we'd have." Kael's jaw clenched, voice sharp with denial. "It's just another way you've chained me." Aether's face flickered with pain, but he only whispered, "Then I'll hold this chain gently, Kael, and never let it hurt you." Devoted beyond reason. From that day on, Aether's obsession took on a new form. He refused to leave Kael's side, even when summoned for battles. Other heroes had to fight without their golden savior because Aether insisted, "My mate and our child come first." He stayed up through the nights, massaging Kael's aching back, feeding him rare enchanted fruits said to strengthen alpha pregnancies. He personally built a nursery with his own hands, carving protective runes into the crib, weaving shadow and light magic into charms to ward off danger. Every night, Aether would rest his hand over Kael's belly, his voice trembling as he whispered to the unborn child, "You're safe, because you're ours. No one will ever touch you. I'll burn the realm before I let harm near you." Even Aether's people celebrated. Markets overflowed with gifts for the royal heir. Songs were sung about the hero who not only brought peace but also united with the once feared villain to create a future for the realm. Kael snarled at the celebrations, muttering sarcasm under his breath, but deep down, a strange warmth began to bloom. A reluctant softness. Kael never stopped being himself, sarcastic, fiery, trying to hide every flicker of tenderness. But sometimes, late at night when he thought Aether was asleep, Kael's hand would drift to his own belly, feeling the faint kicks, and a quiet, grudging smile would cross his lips. One night, Aether caught him like that. Kael quickly scowled. "Don't look at me like that, hero. I'm still furious with you." Aether only chuckled softly, leaning down to kiss Kael's temple. "That's fine," he whispered. "You can hate me forever, as long as you stay mine." Birth of the heir. The birth came on a stormy night. Thunder rattled the castle walls as Kael, refusing to scream, clutched Aether's hand hard enough to break bone. Aether stayed with him through every moment, shadows and divine light weaving around Kael to ease his pain. When their child finally entered the world, the storm outside cleared instantly, stars blazing bright as if the heavens themselves celebrated. The baby boy had soft silver hair like Kael's, but glimmering golden eyes like Aether's. The moment he cried, a surge of raw power rippled through the room, shadows and light coiling together in harmony. The physician whispered in awe, an alpha-born child, blessed with both enigma magic and chaos fire, a being unseen for centuries. Aether, Tears streaming down his face cradled the tiny bundle against his chest, voice trembling as he said, "Welcome home, little one. Our son, Kael Rivenhart." Kael, exhausted but unable to look away, whispered hoarsely, "He's beautiful." Aether turned to him, golden eyes shimmering with the same relentless devotion that had begun their story. "He's perfect, because he's ours." Weeks later, Kael sat on the balcony, Lucien asleep in his arms. Aether wrapped his arms around both of them from behind, resting his chin on Kael's shoulder. For the first time, Kael didn't tense or snap. He just leaned back into Aether's warmth, muttering softly, "I still hate you, you know." Aether chuckled, pressing a kiss to his neck, where the permanent mark glowed faintly. "I know. But you're mine anyway." Kael looked down at their son, then at the hero who had chased him, marked him, married him, and loved him with terrifying devotion. And for the first time, Kael didn't feel like a prisoner. He felt home. Chapter 6. The Hero's Hidden Truth from Aether's Point of View. The world knew him as Aether Valen, savior of the realm, golden hero chosen by the gods. But in truth, Aether had never been a hero. Not really. Flashback. First sight. It was during the bloodiest war in history. Aether had only been 21, a gifted enigma with untamed shadow and divine light surging in his veins. He had been sent with other young warriors to stop the Chaos Warlord, Kael Rivenhart, an alpha feared for burning armies to ash. But when Aether first saw Kael, it wasn't on a battlefield. It was in a ruined village. Kael, covered in soot and blood, knelt in the dirt pulling a sobbing child from beneath rubble, shielding them with his own body as flames roared around them. When Kael turned, cradling the child like they were made of glass, Aether's breath caught. This man, this villain, was saving lives, alone, without thanks. And when Aether saw soldiers aiming crossbows at Kael's back, his instinct screamed, "Protect him!" That night, in the shadows of war, Aether made a silent vow. "I'll never let anyone kill you. Even if I have to become your enemy. Even if I have to play the hero they want. I'll keep you alive." A flashback becoming the hero. Everything Aether did from then on was for Kael. Rising through the ranks to become the realm's champion. A shield to keep assassins and other heroes away from Kael. Defeating Kael countless times. Carefully staged fights where Aether ensured Kael survived every strike. Letting Kael escape every time? Because Aether couldn't bear the thought of truly capturing him. Every sword swing, every light flare, every battle cry, it was never justice. It was love, twisted and all-consuming, hidden behind golden armor. Present 1.5 years later. Now Aether stood silently in the soft glow of their private chambers. Kael lay sleeping on their bed, the faintest scowl on his face even in slumber. Their young son Lucien curled against his chest, tiny fingers clutching Kael's shirt, golden eyes fluttering in dreams. And lower, Kael's 4-month baby bump was visible beneath the silken sheets. The glowing mark on Kael's neck pulsed softly with their unbreakable bond. Aether's heart ached with reverence and hunger all at once. To the world, Kael was still whispered about as a former villain redeemed by the realm's greatest hero. But to Aether, Kael had been his salvation from the moment they met. Aether sat on the edge of the bed, fingers brushing Kael's hair from his face. He bent close, whispering softly so only the bond would carry his words. "They'll always call you a villain, but to me, you were my salvation. My shadowed heart only beats for you." Lucien giggled in his sleep, tiny bursts of light and shadow sparking from his hands. Kael shifted slightly, one hand unconsciously finding Aether's, the other resting protectively on his growing belly. The dark hero. As Kael stirred awake, he blinked blearily at Aether. "You're staring again," Kael muttered, voice rough from sleep. Aether smiled, kissing his marked neck softly. "Always." Kael sighed, pretending to be annoyed, But instead of pulling away, he leaned into Aether's chest. Lucien climbed onto his father's lap, giggling and clutching at Aether's tunic. Aether wrapped his arms around both of them, shadows curling possessively, while divine light softly illuminated the room. To the realm, Aether Valen would always be the untouchable golden hero who saved them all. But in truth, he was something far darker. A man who defied destiny, betrayed his own title, and claimed the only soul he ever loved, the man the world called a villain. And he would never, ever let him go.